conference is always so amazing, and yet, to me, this is like the really cool part. So I am Susan Fortin. I am the director of the Association of Washington Student Leaders, and I am honored to be here tonight to recognize everyone in this room. From first-year people to 50-year people. Norm. Marty's not quite there yet. Everyone comes to WACA with the same thing, even though they might serve different roles. Some of you are leadership teachers, you're class advisors, you may be a cheer coach, you're a link or a web leader, you might be a PBIS specialist, you might be the bookkeeper, the office coordinator, the activity coordinator, an administrator, a counselor, a coach, a curriculum specialist, support staff, club advisor. You're all teachers and mentors. Whatever role you fill by title, you share some commonalities, which is what brought you here to WACA 2018. Your commonalities are that you're committed to students and to their success. And your commitment shows through your generous giving of both your time and your heart. You touch the lives of the students and staff that you work with directly in no matter what role you fill, but you also touch the lives of everyone who benefits from the positive impact of your programs. And with that, I would like to thank each of you, and I know that what did we learn? I have my crazy buddy, and I have my salmon buddy, and I have, okay, and you have your webby buddy, but I would like you to turn to somebody next to you and then join us all, thank them, and then let's all celebrate together in the success of the things that you each do for students every day. You're all amazing. So each year, the Association of Washington Student Leaders and the Association of Washington School Principals recognizes one middle level and one high school advisor to represent the work of all of you. This process involves a nomination, most often coming from a student, a colleague, or a principal. From an AWSL member school. Principals and the nominees then are informed of the nomination, and then they're asked to take the next step by completing the application that includes a reflection on their school's leadership program, other leadership initiatives and the outcomes, their professional development in leadership, and 2 letters of recommendation from an administrator and a student or former student. And then these applications are reviewed, and then they're scored on a rubric. And personally, with the quality of nominations that we're now receiving, I'm grateful that my only job is to facilitate the process, distribute the applications, tally the scores, and pass the names on to the Herff Jones Company, who graciously provides the plaques. And then my work is done, except I get to be here tonight to honor them. And so tonight we're going to celebrate the work of 2 amazing women. I'm going to introduce them individually, but I want to tell you about a couple commonalities that I saw together. So I'll announce them together and share those commonalities. So this work, we're celebrating the work at the high school level of Megan Baxter and at the middle level of Sally Rusk. Here's something they have in common. They're both ASB advisors and leadership teachers. They're both in their 8th year of these positions, although they've been teaching longer than 8. They both have growth mindsets. I had the chance today, just kind of the end of our little booth time over there, partner time, Sally came up and she said, I really want to take a challenge course training. And she's been on the challenge course and done other things like that. She goes, I really want to do that because I feel like it'll give me better skills in processing and debriefing. And that's an area where I could really grow. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. And then Megan today did a session that I went to with Jamie Johnson, and they were doing a session on exennials, and I learned so much. But the cool part was that their research in this project, they, as Megan talked, it's like, and I'm so excited about the next level of our research. It wasn't like it stopped there. It was like we started going. And then I'm comparing both of these thoughts in this growth mindset to my first year at WACA, which, although it wasn't quite 50 years ago, I feel like I've been around a long time, and I know that we were not talking about things at the depth that we're talking about now, and certainly not with the kind of growth mindset that I see in these two women tonight. The other thing that they have in common is that according to the letters from their principals, both are the guiding force in the climate and culture of their schools. Now, I'm going to take the time to recognize each of them individually, and we're going to start with you, Sally. You ready? Okay, so Sally Rusk is at Inglewood Middle School in the Lake Washington School District, serves as ASB advisor and leadership teacher. I'm going to share a few things that Christian Dahl, her assistant principal, said in the nomination, and then that was supported by a letter from her principal as well as a student who's now a freshman at the Lake Washington High School. But these words really stood out to me as I read the nomination. Sally Rusk has transformed Inglewood Middle School. Years ago, she had a vision of a campus culture led by kindness and service, and her consistent efforts have made that our reality. Our leadership program has grown from 50 students to over 300 students. And our detention and suspension rates have dropped significantly. Little aside there, the principal actually did the math. I'm not going to show it, but he did the math to show what the statistics are because of your work. Our student feedback surveys have showed drastic declines in anxiety and bullying, and rose leaps and bounds in student-reported success, fun, and love of being at school. Sally is unwavering in all of her efforts, and they are precisely intentional. And she always clearly communicates her mission, her why, with students and the staff. When we dress up, it is to show unity. When we celebrate, it is to show personal connections. When we say a kind word or send a card, it is because we genuinely care about each other. Every activity, event, game is a reminder to be kind to each other, to lift each other up. Sally is an incredible force of energy, and her passion and drive are second to none. She is a consummate educator, leader, and friend, and an inspiration to all. She gives every student a chance to serve and shows them that to serve is to succeed. In addition to her work at Inglewood Middle School, I know firsthand the powerful work she does currently to mentor new advisors through her work in our state middle-level summer leadership camps. And it is my honor to award the Middle-Level Advisor of the Year to Sally Rusk. Okay. Your turn. Sit down.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan. When you came into an advisor session at Camp Columbia, my very first year, you said, it'll take about 5 years to grow a program. And I thought, I'm in like my 13th year, or whatever I was. I'm in my 18th year now, so do the math. John, math is hard. So I'm in my whatever year of teaching, and like 5 years, that seems like a long time, and you were absolutely right. It takes time to change culture. I live in Seattle, and I live near a little jogging track called Green Lake, and it's about 2.8 miles. I know it's exactly 2.8 miles. I'm not going to say about. It's 2.8 miles. And when I jog, I, as much as I can, like, talk to people and be that gal, I'm a little bit more of an introvert than people realize, and I need some quiet when I jog. I don't listen to music, and I don't like to jog with people. I'm also kind of slow, but whatever. And so a couple months ago, I was jogging Green Lake, and I see this boy. He looks maybe 5th or 6th grade, and he kind of gives me that look, you know, that like smile. I don't know if you can see me in the back, but I'm doing kind of a cheesy smile. And he kind of gives me this smile, and I look up, and I catch his eye, and I mean, I smile back, like I'm not a jerk. And so I smile back at him, and I kind of think that's a little weird, a little bit odd. And if you also know me, you know that I hate small talk. Like, I really hate it. But I can do it, because I know that small talk is big talk, and I believe in that, and I'll do it, because, like, my happy salmon partner, I learned so much about her and her journey of, oh my God, hi. Okay. It's good to see you. But I know that, like, 12 months apart with 2 kids is crazy. So like, I know it matters, and I know it's important. So, you know, I kind of smiled at him back, and then I looked up again, because it was just kind of weird, and he gave me that, like, really big smile of, like, hey, let's talk. And I'm thinking, oh, really? I talk to kids all day? Okay. And I do the big smile, and he jogs up right next to me, and we jog together for like 10 minutes, and I need to emphasize jog because I'm not very fast. And we're jogging together for like 10 minutes, and I hear all about like how his sister is down there for like a bird watching assignment for science, and I hear about how sometimes he just feels like jogging, and he goes to Bagley Wright Elementary and all this good stuff. And we get to the Green Lake Shell House or Crew House or Trish, I don't know what it's called, but something with crew people. And he goes, you know, this is a good spot to stop and meet my parents. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he gives me the biggest smile. And he goes, thank you so much for talking to me. I really hope that I see you again. See you later. The most genuine, sweet smile. And in that moment, like, I realized that if it weren't for so many people in this room, 8 or 9, whatever years ago, you know, when John Norland walked into the camp session before he met Lindsay, and he was like going to all the camps, he walked into our camp session, and he talked about this weird triangle, and it was upside down, and he had this weird beard, and I'm like, who is this guy, and whatever. And I just kind of sat there going, what is this? And in that moment, like, it took me a while. I shouldn't say in the moment. It took me like 6 months to really buy in. Like, I realized after jogging with this kid that it wasn't just something I did because I had to or because I felt like it. I don't always feel like it. In that moment, I realized, like, this is kind of who I am. And, like, you can't see, but, like, I tattooed it on my arm so I wouldn't forget it, that I want to serve others. And John was giving of his time at that point, and that was back when, like, you would go to his training for, like, nothing, and you'd bring a flash drive, and things were just thrown on the flash drive, and it wasn't super organized. Thank you, Houston. And so you would just kind of get things and then pretty it up in your own way. And it was in that moment that I realized that it wasn't about just, like, I'm doing this because other people are watching, or it was just because this was part of who I am, and it's because of people like John, and it's because of people like Houston, and it's because of my Camp Columbia family, who are all way cooler than I am, and are always so much better than I am, and I look at them and go, okay, I want to be like you someday. And then you sit in this room, and you look at people, and you just kind of go, like, Coley's session today, I'm like, I want to be like Coley someday. I mean, just all okay, I'm going off script, sorry. But just, like, all these people that you meet, and when Guy mentioned that idea of an imposter syndrome, like, we meet such cool people, and this is why we come every March, because we go, yeah, I want to be better, and I want to be better because of you. And so, thank you for listening, and thank you for caring, and it is weird to receive an award, and it's awesome, and I want to dance with all of you on the dance floor, and I want to yell all the things and scream all the songs. And so, thank you for listening.
Okay, now for the high school. Congratulations, Sally, by the way. Now for the high school. This year's High School Advisor of the Year, again, also has 8 years of experience in the role. And that is Megan Baxter from Union High School in the Evergreen School District in Vancouver. I want to share with you something that a former student, Emily Warner, provided in the insights that she provided. She's from the class of 2016, and her insight said, "To us, Ms. Baxter is simply known as Bax, a teacher, advisor, mentor, and friend. She is by far one of the greatest and kindest leaders I have ever known. But her humility allows her to actively serve her students without requesting praise." Emily wrote a beautiful letter, but I picked out a few spots, and this one really, really resonated with me. Bax served as my advisor for ASB Executive Council for 2 years. She challenged us to do more than sign documents and plan events. She asked us what the needs of our student populations were and how we could best make sure that every student felt that they belonged. Bax measures the success of her team not by the popularity of events or the revenue that they bring in, but in the ways in which all students are welcomed and included. My senior year, I did not make it into ASB Executive Council. Through this, Bax taught me one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned. Leadership is not a position. From the minute the polls were in, she affirmed in me and others that it was never our position on the team that made us the leader, but who we are and how we behaved and what we are capable of. Bax encouraged me, kept me involved, and showed me that a true leader serves others regardless of their position to do the right thing because it is right. I've actually known Megan for a really long time because I've been around a really long time. So I remember when she was a high school student, and particularly when she was involved as a college student and came back to help pull off our state fall student council conference at Mount Lake Terrace. She's continued to stay an important part of the AWSL state leadership program by serving on a variety of staffs. And most recently, I think, again in a growth mindset, challenging herself with the opening of a new camp at Chewelah Peak with Mission Peak to take on a new role of a new mentoring kind of role. I'm going to conclude before I bring Megan up with what I thought was a pretty cool paragraph from her principal. And her principal opened Union High School. It hasn't been around that long, but he opened Union High School and he said, "In closing, when we opened Union, I had the privilege of hiring the staff. It was an exhilarating experience that forced me to examine my values and beliefs and make choices in recruiting based on what I thought was going to do the most to create a positive learning environment for students and staff. If I were going through the same process again, the first person I would start with is Megan Baxter." So please join me in congratulating our High School Advisor of the Year from Union High School, Megan Baxter.
My first year at WACA, or WACA, Susan pulled me aside to talk about my high school advisor. Kim Stewart was that year's Advisor of the Year. Stu is the reason I went into teaching and one of the people that introduced me to the world of student leadership. I remember sitting at the banquet, listening to the words I had said, and thinking, how cool would it be to one day sit there and listen to the words from my students. I will tell you right now, it's really cool. Cool's not even a good enough word, but my vocabulary has always been pretty low, so cool's what I got right now. In order to make that a reality, I decided I needed to go big or go home. That summer, I joined 2 different summer leadership camp staffs. I now do 3 summer camps. Yep, I go big. Actually, if you want to know the truth, my little sister met her husband at leadership camp. So I was hoping that by adding more weeks of camp, I would improve my odds. So far, no luck. The next time I followed my sister's lead, I was significantly more successful. I had the, shouldn't have looked over there. I had the incredible opportunity of working with her to build the leadership program at Union. I'm truly blessed to have spent the last 9 years working with my best friend and biggest supporter. Thank you, Colleen, for allowing me to pull the biggest big sister move ever. You had a new shiny toy, and you were willing to share it with me, and I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you. To continue to grow the leadership program at Union, we did what we thought we had to do. More leadership classes, more decorations, more events, more drives. We did drives for food, clothing, toiletries, shoes, books, coins. I don't think there was something that we didn't try to collect. Being in Vancouver and close to the river and over there in Portland and they do a deposit on their water bottles, it's a huge temptation. But I really thought what I was doing all the right things to be a good advisor. And I got an email on a Wednesday that was right before we went to winter break. And it had told me that I was nominated for Advisor of the Year. To be honest, I shook my head and I laughed. I laughed because the night before, I had hosted a movie night at my school. Thanks, guys. I have 4 executive officers, 2 had other plans. Okay. 3 alumni showed up because they were home for winter break and they wanted to visit. Total number of enrolled students, 1. I can't even make this up. 1, and she was dating one of the alumni, so I think that's the only reason she came. So I sat there reading the email and thinking, Advisor of the Year, huh? Woo! Rewind a week and a half before that, and we were decorating for the winter holidays and doing decorations, and there were about 36 to 40 kids that were supposed to come in and help decorate. On the day of decorations, 4. So again, feeling super successful and really deserving this honor. Rewind all the way back to last March when we did ASB elections, and we have 9 positions on our student council. 5 kids came out to run. 1 decided to quit after being in the office for a week because AP psychology sounded better than leadership. I definitely had to sit and look at what I was doing and why I was doing it, and it really made me question, I need to go big, and everything keeps getting smaller. And then the more I thought about it, I realized that as I had sat here at 23, 24 years old, that I got it wrong. It wasn't about going big at all. It was about going home. Because seriously, you guys, how many of us have been in an event and all you want to do is go home? And Sally, you and I are spirit animals because I am a huge introvert. That's where my couch, my food, and my TV are. So I love home. But more importantly, home is where love resides. Memories are created, friends are always welcome, and laughter never ends. It is this idea of home that I realized I need to create wherever I am. That this home can be in my classroom, at my school, at the camps that I do, and in my daily interactions with my students, my colleagues, and people around me. This home can be built anywhere and everywhere. Don't worry about going big. Focus on the small things that build your home, that add love, memories, friends, and laughter to wherever you are. Take the time to know your students' stories, to trust them and what they are capable of, but don't be afraid to push them to be better. Don't take yourselves too seriously. Be willing to be vulnerable with your students and allow them to get to know your story too. Working in student activities and student leadership and everything that each of us does is not easy. The work each day that each of you do with your students and for your students is challenging and inspiring. So help yourselves out and focus on the small things, because at the end of the day, are you really going to remember all the decorations or how many people attended your events? Or will you remember that time that a student made you laugh so hard while you were trying to drink a Coke that you gagged and had to run out of the room so you didn't throw up in front of your students? I know what I'm going to remember. Thank you.